Welcome to the grand finale of the Common Sense Lab. Over the past 3 chapters, you've mastered the mindset, you've set the boundaries, and you've survived the jealousy. You've learned how to say no without saying no. You've discovered why a locked door is worth more than an open door policy. And you've seen firsthand how office chaos is just jealousy in disguise. Now, it's time for the final step. It's time to get paid. But here's the thing, most career advice won't tell you. This isn't a fight. This isn't you versus the company. This is a conversation between the magician, that's you, the one who manifests value through strategy, and the emperor, the company that needs structure and logic to justify its decisions. We've graduated from the yes boss virus. Now we're talking about aligning your pay with your presence, and we're going to do it the common sense way. This is part one, the value realignment. Most people think salary negotiation is about confidence or charisma. It's not. It's about math, logic, and positioning. Let me break down exactly how this works. Most people walk into a salary review and ask for a raise, but asking is for beginners. Professionals demonstrate a value gap. Think about it. When you ask for a raise, you're putting the power in their hands. You're saying, please, can I have more money? But when you demonstrate a value gap, you're presenting a problem that needs solving. You're saying, here's the value I create, here's what you're paying me. These numbers don't match. How do we fix this? One is begging, the other is problem solving. Which one do you think the emperor respects? Let me introduce you to part two, the magician's audit. This is where Jonathan Hoang comes in. Jonathan doesn't use feelings, he uses manifestation through skill. He doesn't ask for raises, he demonstrates why they're inevitable. Here's how you channel your inner magician. First, audit your last 30 days. Did your new logic save the company 10 hours a week? Did it prevent a tower moment with a client? That's your hard value. If you're delivering $10,000 of extra value per month but being paid the slipper salary from 3 years ago, that's not a negotiation, that's a math problem. And math problems have logical solutions. Document every single piece of proof, the hours you saved, the client disasters you prevented, the systems you built, the Barnabys you managed. This isn't bragging, this is data. And data is what the emperor respects. Here's a real example. Let's say you implemented a new system that saves your team 2 hours per day. That's 10 hours per week. That's over 500 hours per year. If the average hourly rate for your team is $50, you just saved the company $25,000 annually. That's your hard value. Or maybe you prevented a client from leaving. What was that account worth? 50,000, 100,000. That's not hypothetical value. That's money that stayed in the company because of your work. Document it all. Build your case like you're presenting evidence in court, because in a way, you are. Now we move to part three, the emperor's market logic. This is where Eugene Patel enters the conversation. Eugene doesn't negotiate. He doesn't plead. He states facts. And the biggest fact in salary negotiation is this. What does it cost to replace you? Let me paint you a picture. Walter Grump, the old school Hierophant, finally admits that the office feels better since you implemented the Friday protocol. The chaos has subsided. The Barnabys are contained. The slippers are gone. Eugene Patel, the emperor of structure, explains that this stability has a market value. And here's the cold, hard logic. It's cheaper for the company to pay you what you're worth than to hire a new tower, a new Barnaby, who will blow up the system you've spent months building. So what is a silent killer worth in today's market? Research it. If you leave tomorrow, what does it cost them to find, hire, and train someone to replace you? Hint, it's usually 3 times your current salary. Present this market data as a neutral observation, not a threat, not an ultimatum, just facts. Logic cannot be argued with, it can only be accepted. Let's run the numbers together. Say you make $70,000 a year. If you leave, here's what happens. The company posts a job listing. They sift through resumes. They conduct interviews. They finally hire someone. That process alone costs time and money, usually around 20 to 30% of the salary for recruiting fees and HR hours. Then there's onboarding, training. the 3 to 6 months it takes for the new person to get up to speed. During that time, productivity drops, mistakes happen, clients get nervous. Conservatively, replacing you costs the company at least $150,000 to $200,000, and that's if they find someone good. If they hire a Barnaby, someone who brings chaos instead of order, the cost doubles. They know this. You're just reminding them of the math. Part 4, the power of the void. This is the hardest part of the protocol. You've stated your value gap. You've presented your market logic. And then you do the one thing most people can't handle. You stop talking. Most people are so uncomfortable with silence that they start negotiating against themselves. They say, I take less if, or is that too high? Stop. Common sense says the first person to speak after the offer is the one who loses. Give the other person the space to think. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. They might be calculating the budget, or they might be realizing how much they need you. If the number they offer is low, don't argue. Just look at them. Silence is the ultimate no without saying a word. In the lab, we call this the power of the void. It's where respect is earned. If you can sit in that silence for 10 seconds, you've already won. You've shown that you aren't desperate. You're certain. You aren't begging. You're waiting for logic to prevail. Remind them of the system you've built, the clean desks, the locked doors, the absence of the yes boss virus. You've built the world in this office. You are the engine of this order. The subtext is clear. If I take my logic elsewhere, the slippers and the unlocked doors come back on Monday. They aren't just paying for your work, they are paying for the environment of excellence you created. This is what I call the Friday Checkmate. You're not threatening them, you're reminding them of the reality they live in. Before you implemented the Friday protocol, what did Monday mornings look like? Chaos, slippers under desks, unlocked doors, a Barnaby throwing a tantrum in the hallway. Now, it's different. The office is calm, the desks are clean, the system works. You built that. You are the architect of that order. And here's the subtext you never have to say out loud. If I take my logic, my systems, my standards to another company, this place goes back to chaos by Monday afternoon. They know it. You know it. The emperor in them knows it. They aren't just paying for your 40 hours a week. They're paying for the environment of excellence you created and maintain. And that brings us to the final part, the graduation. You aren't just an employee anymore. You are the steward of this lab. You keep the doors locked. You keep the chairs pushed in. You keep the logic sharp. You've officially graduated from the common sense lab. You've seen how the magician Jonathan Hoang manifests value through skill and strategy. You've learned how the emperor Eugene Patel uses structure and market logic to command respect. You've witnessed how even Walter Grump, the old Hierophant, had to admit that your systems work. You aren't just a hard worker anymore. You're a strategic asset who knows how to close the value gap and get paid exactly what you're worth. But here's the most important lesson of all. Logic is a muscle. If you don't use it on the small things, like pushing your chair in on Friday, like locking the door when you leave, like maintaining your boundaries when a Barnaby tries to dump chaos on your desk, then you won't have that muscle when it's time for the $1 million contract or the career-defining negotiation. Excellence isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. So take this mindset. Take your new salary, take your new boundaries, and use them to build something legendary. Stay logical, stay sharp, keep your standards high, and for heaven's sake, push your chair in. If you're ready to dive deeper into office psychology, if you want to see how these tarot archetypes play out in real-world negotiations, or if you're curious about how to handle the next Barnaby that walks into your life, watch for more videos right here in the Common Sense Lab. We're just getting started on rebuilding the professional world, one logical step at a time, one clean desk at a time, one locked door at a time. I'll see you Monday at a clean desk.